That's what I constantly asked myself when I finally gritted my teeth and committed myself to watching The Owl House. At that point, in 2022-23, it had been roughly 2 years since I watched the first episode of the series. I knew there was a lot of hype surrounding TOH at the time of its release, but I never really hopped aboard the train until my younger brother expressed his adoration for it. He was right on the money, as he usually is with his show recommendations that I never watch. The Owl House is nothing but charming. It's such an incredible kid show. Its lore is whimsical, dark, and so fascinating. The art style is recognizable, even from 100 miles away, and the characters are written outstandingly.
Look, kid, everyone wants to believe they're chosen. But if we all waited around for a prophecy to make us special, we'd die waiting. And that's why you need to choose yourself.
It's truly a relatable coming-of-age story that makes absolutely no sense. Don't get me wrong, this show is really good. However, it's not perfect. What if I told you that the entire show isn't possible? Most people would call me crazy. Just hear me out though. I promise to make my case to you. Luz no Seda is what many people in this modern era of society would call an otaku, the most marginalized group of people after gamers. She's eccentric and reclusive at the same time. We can't have that now, can we? You better get your ass to summer camp, young lady, said Kamiya no Seda, her widowed mother. It's either you stick to One Piece or all your merchandise goes in the trash. Mom, I agree with you. It's good and all, but aren't I allowed to like anything else? Nope. One Piece is the best, and that's final. Nuh-uh. Hunter x Hunter is the best.
And if you dare think otherwise, I'll...
Intermission time. More like playing my...
Huh. Maybe threatening your mom isn't such a good idea. I knew I should have stuck with gaslighting.
A tiny critter, an owl, then rummages through her garbage and takes one of Luz's books. Wanting to get it back, she chases it, but winds up being whisked away into a mystical land called the Boiling Isles. Or Titan. Doesn't matter. Here, she meets her future mentor in magic, Ida, the Owl Lady. This single encounter spawned multiple exciting adventures. Going to Titan was probably the best thing that could ever really happen to Luz because it was the only place that could keep up with her weirdness. On Titan, she learned magic. She finally made great friends, fell in love. And none of this makes sense. The inciting incident is the moment that kicks off the most important section of a narrative. They can come in many forms. Sometimes a story can kick off by complete accident, thus making one the natural consequences of a chance encounter. Like our good old friend, Truck-kun, causing another innocent bystander to ascend to the heavens and get reincarnated as a level 1 demon prince that's overpowered for no reason. Other times, they're premeditated affairs. Take, for instance, a murder in a whodunit that kicks off the long chase of cat and mouse our dashing detective will be involved in. If you've noticed, I've brought up 2 aspects of Freytag's pyramid in my last 2 videos. Never intended to do that. I've had this video planned for 2 years. I just thought it would be relevant to mention. The Owl House uses an incident that's similar to Alice in Wonderland. Both characters were led down rabbit holes and entered unimaginable realities. Luz just has one little issue. She chose to stay in Wonderland, whereas Alice was trying to escape. Why is this an issue? Well...
Miss Noceda? I checked the register a few times and noticed that your daughter Luz is nowhere to be seen. Did you perhaps want to drop her off tomorrow afternoon? Well, that's weird. I thought she ended up taking the bus since I didn't find her when I went back home to offer to take her instead. She's even texting me right now telling me that she had a good first date. fuck?
How on Titan could Luz possibly account for her absence from summer camp? Yes, she's texting her mom and telling her things are fine, but the staff at her camp would contradict that somehow. Like, would a summer camp not have a register? Now, I'll admit, the solution the writers came up with to solve this issue was pretty resourceful, but it still also leaves quite a bit to be desired. The solution in question was Vee. Vee has two major pros. The first is how successfully she follows the 12th and final principle of animation: appeal. I would have liked to have a citation from The Illusion of Life, but I'd have to sell my kidney to get my hands on that. So, to quote Shutterstock directly, since I cannot be asked to paraphrase right now, appeal is the equivalent of what we would think of as charisma for actors, giving the viewer the impression that the character is real, compelling, and interesting. Essentially, did your character make an impression on people visually and textually? Vee has a very memorable design that adorably blends her basilisk heritage and her newfound identity that she adopted while living a human lifestyle. One has just gotta love how her hair matches her previous color scheme, the derpy face with the colorful eyes and cat mouth. It's just so adorable. Not as adorable as Kikimora, but adorable nonetheless. She also has an engaging character arc, but I will speak more about that later. Her second strength, and the one that gives her the most leeway, is that she is a character that makes use of established continuity. The major con with Vee is that she still feels very unnatural, and she demonstrates a very obvious oversight in writing. Vee is a basilisk, a humanoid and serpentine species that went extinct on Titan. Basilisks were known for their ability to shapeshift, typically using their abilities to deceive their prey and then drain their magical power. We first see one during the 13th episode of Season 1. Basilisks were revived for the sake of being cruelly experimented on to discover how they drain magic. Amongst them was Vee, who objected to using her powers to harm others. She was lucky enough to be able to break out of captivity, but unfortunately, the experience scarred her. Due to her marginalization, part of her still felt trapped. One day, though, she took notice of a human, Luz, and viewed her as an opportunity to liberate herself once and for all. Thus, while no one was looking, she went through the same portal Luz used to get to Titan, to go to Earth. Upon hearing Kamiya calling, Vee donned Luz's appearance, and then, subsequently, became her stand-in. Her facade worked so well that Kamiya went on none the wiser that her real daughter had practically abandoned her. Vee made an instant impact on fans' hearts, and here's why. She acted as a mirror of Luz's character. Both left their worlds hoping to find a place where they could be themselves, because they wanted an escape from derision and ostracization. However, mirrors not only reflect the subjects shown in them, they also invert them. In Vee's case, she left her world mostly because she had to. Under Belos's rule, she couldn't possibly make the Boiling Isles feel like a home. Kamiya was one of the first people she could ever have a warm relationship with. That made her envious of someone like Luz. Yes, Luz running away was a bad thing, but it also turned out to be a great boon for someone like Vee. Additionally, there's the chance that Luz actually could have gotten on just fine if she stayed on Earth. This may have come at the cost of being her authentic self, but at least she had one person in her life who treated her kindly and wanted what was best for her. Her mother. Who knows? Maybe she could have finally made friends at summer camp. This brings up quite a heart-wrenching dilemma. Since Luz made the conscious choice to stay on Titan, when she very much could have gone back home, Kamiya felt as if she pushed her daughter away. And when she expressed that, Luz felt as if her mother was saying that she was resenting her. This all plays out in what is probably the best scene in the entire series. However, that comes at a cost. The Owl House is a show that I'd say is mostly fantastic. I say mostly because there are two little blemishes that I just have to accept. The fact that the show had to rush its finale, and the fact that Vee is an obvious retcon. How do we know that Vee is a retcon? Simple. When Luz arrived on Titan, she was immediately taken aback. When she tried to run back home, Ida closed the portal. In Vee's proper debut episode, was shown that she saw Luz after this occurred, since it was at the point where she was enthusiastically helping Ida sell her earthen merchandise. One can only ask, How did Vee get to Earth if the portal was already closed? Alternatively, how did the portal open again if Ida and Luz, who was being held against her will at the time, ran away from the marketplace? The only way you can make something like this make sense is by rewriting that scenario, which is exactly what the writers did. Vee being present provides an incredibly convenient thread for Luz to weave into her web of lies. As I said before, yes, stories use coincidences to get themselves rolling, and Vee's presence is nothing short of one. However, she was used to patch up an obvious error in writing, thus her inclusion doesn't feel as natural as it could be. Without Vee, Luz would have to go home to a mother who thought her daughter went missing either because she was kidnapped or something far worse. Imagine those feelings being compounded over the course of multiple months because Luz never thought of the possibility that her lie could get called out so easily. Making a topic like that digestible in a kid's show is no easy feat, I'll tell you that. It's certainly possible, but you'd have to write out of your goddamn mind. This sort of reminds me of another dilemma from a Disney show. Star versus the Forces of Evil. Star made the choice to get rid of magic once and for all, and they never really explored the ethical implications of that in a meaningful way since it happened right at the very end of the show. What we got at worst were the deaths of a few supporting characters. Everything just worked out for everyone in the end. Vee's a tad bit different though, hence why I said sort of when comparing these two shows. Her presence in the Owl House at least has the benefit of being the catalyst for deeper exploration into Luz's character, whilst also being a clever use of the series lore. If I had made the same mistake the writers did and realized it, I would have definitely used the same solution if it was presented to me. It's the only retcon that I can think of that I've given my certified stamp of approval. Begrudgingly, but approved nonetheless. Were there better ways to handle this situation? Of course there were. It's not like tightly written narratives don't exist. How could they have handled the situation differently, you ask? I won't tell you that. Who'd want to be bored to death with something from a discarded draft of this video script?